Jesus went 40 days without eating and still resisted the devil. You can't even go one day without eating and you serve the devil anyway. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel where we talk about Christianity while I play video games. In this video, we're going to talk about the time the devil tried to tempt Jesus into serving him. Yikes. Well, the Spirit led Jesus into the wilderness, and this is where we get one of the funniest passages out of the whole Bible, at least in my opinion. The Bible reads, "Then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. After fasting 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry." And it's like, yeah, I bet he was hungry after 40 days of not eating. But anyways, the first thing the devil said was, "If you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread." The devil knew that Jesus was hungry after 40 days. And if he is indeed the all-powerful Son of God, then what would be the harm in eating some bread? You might be listening to this and thinking, how is this even bad? Why would it be wrong for Jesus, who is hungry, to make bread to eat out of rocks? He can do it. Nobody gets hurt or loses anything if he does. Unless you're a rock, I guess. But who cares about them? It causes no pain. Why is this bad? It would be bad because Jesus would be using his divine power for a selfish purpose. He would also be satisfying this selfish desire against his own faith that his needs would be met while he was in the wilderness. If you hadn't eaten for 40 days, you might think the number one thing you need is food, which is totally wrong. The number one thing you need after 40 days of fasting in the wilderness is God. God also happens to be the thing you need before and after the fast also. Remember, it was the Spirit who led Jesus into the wilderness. We too need to be super vigilant in making sure we are being led by God and not by anything else, even something extreme like our need to eat. And no, that doesn't mean you need to go starve to death. It means you need to prioritize God. And that's just about what Jesus told the devil when he quoted the Bible saying, "Man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God." Without God, for practical purposes, you are starving to death. But the devil didn't stop there. After this, the devil took Jesus to the top of the temple in Jerusalem and told him to jump. That might not sound like a big deal to you, but you gotta remember this is the ancient world. This temple would have been over 150 feet tall and was easily the biggest and most important structure in the city of Jerusalem, and in any sort of city nearby it would have been the tallest. This would be like the modern day equivalent of the devil taking you to the top of the Burj Khalifa and telling you to jump. But the devil wasn't just a daredevil trying to get Jesus to hurt himself or die. Quite the opposite, actually. The devil wanted Jesus to jump so that his angels would save him, and thereby prove to everybody who watched this that he was the Son of God. Remember, this is the most important temple in Jerusalem. If Jesus jumped and angels appeared and saved him, a whole lot of people would probably be very impressed. And you might be thinking, what's wrong with Jesus jumping off a building to prove he is who he says he is? Nobody gets hurt. It might actually help this whole Christianity thing get going a bit faster. What's wrong with it is a couple of things. First of all, the devil is trying to manipulate God. Your boyfriend or girlfriend might try to manipulate you, but can you imagine them trying to manipulate God? That would be crazy. The devil even uses a Bible verse to try and make the case for Jesus to jump. So Jesus uses a Bible verse right back at him. "You shall not put the Lord your God to the test." The reason that verse is in your Bible is because after God freed some people from slavery, parted an entire ocean for them, fed them with magic sky food, and led them by pillars of smoke and fire through a desert, and literally called them his chosen people, they still asked God to prove himself to them. Like, come on, guys. Well, unfortunately, a lot of people, including Christians, still do that today. They'll pray going, "All right, God, give me a sign that you're super duper real, and then I'll believe it and stuff." God to them is like a genie that grants wishes if you rub his lamp the right way. What kind of all-powerful God would jump at every opportunity to fulfill your every misguided wish? Do you even know what you really need for yourself? What if part of being an all-powerful God includes knowing more than you do, and that if you place your trust in him, things will work out for the best? Jesus did not need to prove he was God by jumping off a temple, even if doing so, by every estimation, would have made a bunch of people want to follow him. Jesus proves to us that he is God not by using that ultimate power to show that he is great. Anybody can use their power to show that they're great. He proved to us that he is God by using his ultimate power to become humble and lowly, a thing no mere human is willing to do. After all, what is more amazing? That God created all things and controls all things, or that that same God would become a man and die? Well, the devil had one more temptation for Jesus. The devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor. "All this I will give you," he said, "if you will bow down and worship me." What if Jesus didn't have to die? What if the powerful and humble Jesus could immediately come to rule all of the kingdoms of the world and all of their glory? Surely there would come immediately a better world for everybody if it was ruled by a king like Jesus. The real question here is, why would it be bad for Jesus to worship the devil if it meant all of the world's problems would go away? It makes you wonder, would you worship the devil if he promised you all of your problems would go away? Would it be worth it? Maybe not unless there was a better alternative available. Unfortunately, there was. That alternative is called the cross. Instead of being a powerful king over all the kingdoms of the world and all of their splendor, it is objectively better for the world and its people for Jesus to be crucified like a criminal. That doesn't make the world's problems go away. It utterly destroys them at their core. It destroys them because all of those problems are brought to the cross, and they die with the man who is crucified there. Satan offered Jesus peaceful prosperity under evil. Jesus destroyed that evil, and in doing so guaranteed peaceful prosperity. And thank God that he did. So when Jesus is offered the kingdoms of the world and all of their splendor, we read, "Away from me, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve him only." And there you have it. The three temptations of Christ. Why do these matter? Life is full of problems. That is why it is a great comfort to know that God not only knows about these problems, but that he experienced them in all their depth, just as a human does. Not only in the temptations he faced, but also on the cross, in the full anguish of their consequences, when those temptations are given into by people like us. Christ died 2,000 years ago for the sins Christians commit today. The man who resisted every opportunity to sin suffered the punishment of all sins Christians have committed. When Jesus was offered to not go hungry, he chose death on a cross. When Jesus was offered reputation, he chose death on a cross. When Jesus was offered ruling the world like a king, he chose death on a cross. Jesus, God, chose death on a cross over all of that for you. But we will get to that. For now, this has been me playing Minecraft. Bye-bye.